Hello, this paper is about Costa Rica and the highlights of the country and an overall of what the country has compared to the U.S. as to healthcare. The country overall, demographics, info, statistics, healthcare status, brief of current healthcare, culture, religion, social, and political factors in Costa Rica. I will go over what Costa Rica country offers and compared to the U.S. offers in healthcare. This will show the differences in each country. Costa Rica is a blend of culture and Spanish colonial influence with a dash of Jamaica, Chinese, and other cultures and immigrants. Costa Rica has a population of just under 5 million people, a little more than half the population of New York City. Costa Rica people are called Ticos, and that was mostly laid-back people, friendly and happy people. In the mid-20th century, population was at the highest in the world. The population began to decrease. People were having fewer babies or children. People also lived longer, and more European immigrants came to this country. But in 1970, nearby countries like Nicaragua, Panama came to the country's problems came up. Economical, political, and armed conflicts with neighbors that moved in. Since the 1990s, there has been a constant flow into Costa Rica of Nicaraguans, more than 400,000 of them who were established by living in the country in the early 200s. But today the country has become a retirement ground for the U.S. people, and the numbers keep rising. Costa Rica has both oceans on each side, the Pacific and the Caribbean Ocean. Health status. The number of healthcare costs in Costa Rica is 45% to 65% lower than care than the U.S. There are also roughly 5 million people. There are 30 hospitals and 250 clinics in Costa Rica. As U.S. doctor says, the EVAICS Chava was told to a friend of having a heart attack was fast served. They treated him in the nearest clinic and then transported him to the nearest hospital for treatment. When my fishing buddy, Kenneth Thomas, needed dental implants last winter, he drove mid-dental office in icy Fort Worth, Texas, and flew to sunny Costa Rica. He found that he could save $15,000 even after paying the airfare and his lodging. Kenneth got to spend his recovery on the beach, exploring the national parks, and saving money on his treatment. Current health status. While Costa Rica is one of the best health care systems in Latin America, it is important to look at the benefits of each option and decide on the type of coverage most suitable to you. The CCS and the NIS provides coverage only in Costa Rica. Opens the door for foreign insurance companies, also provides insurance to travelers. Cigna Global is the best insurance in Costa Rica that will cover you in Costa Rica and all over the country. Sagrada Casa de la Social, the CCS, founded in 1941, is an institute responsible for funding and providing personal health care. Originally designed to collect payroll tax for health care insurance on behalf of low and middle-class income workers, the CCSS was expanded to all residents by the Sears and mandated in 1970. Under the PLN administration run by President Fugo, all the nation's hospital and healthcare professionals were nationalized by 1980, or giving extravagant healthcare service for providing permission to all citizens regardless of their contribution to the state's pension fund. Brief history. Costa Rica's Social Security Institution, founded in 1940, is often considered the model of Latin countries. History of Costa Rica, noted by Christopher Columbus' first visit when it was Costa Rica in 1502. Spanish colonials first established a permanent residence in Costa Rica in 1563. After a short-lived civil war, Costa Rica Constitution was passed in 1949. Costa Rica hasn't had a national army since 1948. Costa Rica has one of the oldest demographic in Latin America, having to avoid many of the political problems in the regions in the 1970s and 80s. Their culture. Race is mostly Spanish population. The nations whose official language is Spanish, but where large portions of the population speak English, Braja, something, Mandarin, Chinese as the first language. Learning from the culture and who lives in this country await the main language. Spanish is the official language of Costa Rica. However, immigrants have meant that English is spoken natively by many people on both coasts, particularly in the Caribbean side. Ticos are people of Costa Ricans. More of culture. More than half of Costa Rica coffee farms are 10 acres or half or less in size. A factor that contributes to the demographic heritage of what the country is farmed. Companies buy pineapples from Costa Rica, one of the largest producers of the fruit. You can now see if the suppliers are endangered in the deforestation or not to help the United Nations Green Combination Program. Each town now, no matter how small, has a church, a soccer field, and a corner store. All churches face west in Costa Rica, with extreme helpful with finding our way around to the lack of the street names, making a few art, masking, weaving utensils, and a profitable economy to provide income. Religion. Believe that 76 are Catholic, which requires students to take religious class. 3/4 are Roman Catholic. Catholicism is the state religion. Diocese of Costa Rica was established in 1850. With further consideration in country's independence, churches present one of the most large and endangered architectural displays in Costa Rica. The different styles, materials, and patterns represented in the building can be seen as a journey through the country's history. On top of this, most of them have become iconic through cultures and religious local activities taking place around them. Churches have also taken the most important role in shaping the independence of identity of Costa Rica town. Religion in Costa Rica has been many different choices for the people of Costa Ricans. Social. The nickname of Costa Ricans is Ticos. This is because of the habit of Spanish of using the Dominican and much higher rate of other Spanish-speaking countries. For example, dog, which is known as a patrol little dog, no matter how big it is. A cafe, which is known as a cafeto, little coffee, and so on. The language quirks gives the Ticos their nickname. Costa Ricans had 20% of the land that are protected either by the National Park or Wildlife Preserve. This is the largest percentage of territory protected out of any other country in the world. Costa Rica is wet and dry country in the winter, and the summer is high and low. The summer is from December to April, and the rainy season is May to November. Although many people use the saying "Pervadola" until you've been in Costa Rica, you don't truly know what that feels like. It's an emotional, it's an attitude, it's happiness, it's a way of life. Once you visit, you'll understand the true meaning of Pervadola. Political factors. Costa Rica elects on the national level of the head of state, the president, and the legislation. The president of Costa Rica is together the two vice presidents elected the 4-year term by the people. The legislation assembly has 57 members elected for a 4-year term by closed list political representatives, in which the country's 7 provinces. Two parties in the government, National Liberation Parties and the National Assembly. No army, but there's a police. The U.S. government watches the oceans with the Coast Guard. The U.S. health overall versus Costa Rica, which is the better, and what is the difference? Similar in how the insurance plans work, and Sue is covered. Costs in both countries have financial issues with insurance, but most find a way to reduce costs in the way of insurance. Costa Rica and the universal healthcare is in trouble with restrictions on upgrading and looking for better ways for them, all of 30% to 70% cheaper than the U.S. or Canadian prices. As in the Joint Commission International Certification, that's the golden standard in healthcare. Many U.S. hospitals fail to even receive this accommodation. Costa Rica has outperformed the poorest U.S. Americans in life expectancy. This study explores the question of why countries' populations with far fewer resources live longer than others, highlight the U.S. poor health performance, and shows the potential substantial lowering mortality in the middle income countries. Costa Rica's insurance is still a better choice of the coverage compared to U.S. Costa Rica offers a lower cost of health care, and that's why many people are retiring to Costa Rica from the U.S. They offer better health care than the U.S. They have better plans and cover more, so less out of their pocket. They do have government plans and private plans to choose from depending on your income. Recommendations. The list of vaccinations needed for traveling to Costa Rica and what is really needed and what is not needed. The traveling safety list of what is needed to travel and stay in Costa Rica. List of food safeties and what is needed to be safe in order. Food. The country is different food types and travelers also used to and getting travelers to what they need to stay safe. Some recommendation is to make sure traveling or people moving to this country are aware of the safety precautions are needed to be safe.